Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I originally, I was gonna fully part ways. That's how I envisioned it since the beginning of the season last year. I knew that I wanted to move on and work towards the NFL, and then so I didn't hear from anyone. I was talking to people, was looking places to train, and then one Wednesday morning, Coach Bostad called me and was just like, "Hey, like, I'm just throwing this out there, like no pressure, but like." Would you want to come back and maybe play center? And I was like, let me talk with my family and things like that. And then Coach Sig called me. We kind of talked, and then after talking to my family and like really thinking with myself, I was like, I can get another year under Coach Bostad, which is going to help me even more with my development. And getting a year under center, I think will help me in the NFL because if I'm going to play in the NFL, I'm kind of an undersized lineman, so center will most likely be kind of my spot. So just all those different factors, and yeah, it was just a pretty easy decision for me. But yeah.
Exactly, Mason. How has that transition to center been for you, especially with the new quarterback behind you?
It's good. It's smooth. I mean, I played center. I started 4 games at center in 2022, so I'm familiar with the position. Just a new voice behind me. That's all. So there's not many adjustments I have to make. Just getting comfortable with the guys around me.
Mason and Zach.
Got a couple. Forgive the first one if it's like too simple or whatever, but do you see the game differently from center versus guard or just another position on the line? Like, is that kind of a mental adjustment you have to make in preparing and kind of reading an opponent defense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's much different because at guard you're kind of worried about yourself and the tackle kind of in combinations or by ourselves. But now I have to know what everyone's doing. I have to know who's with me, where we're going. I have to see the safeties where they're coming down, where they're dropping down, coverages, all these kind of things that as I've gotten older and through the years of college, I've kind of picked up on. So it's easier for me now, but if I was like a freshman or sophomore, it'd be a lot harder for me. But yeah, it's going smooth so far.
I guess I would kind of flow into my second one then about you said you wanted to come back and work with Coach Bostad to really kind of develop more for the next level. Is that something you're really hoping to improve upon, or what's kind of the biggest area of development you're looking forward to for yourself?
Just the versatility of guard and center, just all the inside positions. I'm not. I mean, I'm primarily playing center, but they're throwing me in at right guard as well, left guard. So just the versatility and just getting comfortable. With my previous O-line coaches, like they were great in development, but I feel like with Bostad, like there's just a different feel, and I've really matured, not only in the mental preparation for offensive line, but also the physical. So I think just another year, I was like, it can only help me, so might as well.
Seth and Pete.
Hey, you said you were talking about having played center before, 22. Are you kind of approaching it this spring any differently? Like obviously, Coach Bostad wasn't here when you played center last time. Like, is working at center under Coach Bostad kind of any different for you now than it was a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I think there's different declarations. How he reads defenses is different how my previous coaches have. And the main difference is just, declarations, reading defenses, things like that. The verbiage is different, but, concepts are concepts in the offensive line. So it's pretty much all the same. It's just a couple little things here and there.
Pete and Joe.
Mike, it's a similar question that I asked Jacob. What excites you about this offense, and what excites you about the coaching staff?
Yeah, there's a lot of new faces, right? And it was like that last year and the year before. So just getting guys, building relationships with guys, and just learning everything I can about, the guys in the offensive line room and also new guys in the whole offensive room. So, I'm really excited to see how this offense gels with all these new faces and seeing, guys' strengths and weaknesses and, trying to help them in any way I can. And, the coaching staff's been great so far. I'm from Pittsburgh. Like, a lot of these guys are Pittsburgh guys, like Coach Signetti, Coach Shanahan, Coach Sinceri, and I know a lot of their family. And I just found that out as I committed back here. Was like I'm really connected with these coaches, and they know a lot about my family. I know a lot about theirs. So it's just it felt like like I should be making this decision. Like I've known these guys my whole life, but I haven't obviously. But just having that like Pittsburgh connection, we kind of we grew up in the kind of the same area, same the same morals and things like that. So that's what excites me, and just getting to work, and they're no BS guys. Get in, do your job, and get out. It's so I'm excited about that.
Joe and Daniel, with the staff that Coach Cincinnati brought over, you kept Coach Bostad for the offensive line. What's the importance of having that experience and the reputation leading your group?
Yeah, it's so important. Just seeing what he could do for us last year and the progress that we made from 2022 to 2023 has been enormous. And credit to Coach Bostad. And it's so important having that kind of leadership in our room because he holds everyone to the same standard. And having all these new guys come in the offensive line room, we had to brief them on what the standard was in the O-line room and how Coach Bostad runs his meetings, practice, things to be aware of. So, it's important how the standard that he holds in that room is very important, and we all kind of understand that.
Daniel on your right, and then Seth.
Yeah, Mike, I want to say the last question that I asked you last year, under the premise that you would not be here
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you kind of overcame
Yeah.
those allegations. But this is spring practice number 6 for you here.
Yeah.
Right. Apart from all the new
Jeez.
faces around you, operationally, the way it's structured, what feels new this year?
I'd say the practice style. I think when you look at spring ball over my last 6 now, the previous ones were much longer, much more tedious. I think now this year it's kind of how Coach Cignetti runs his practices. Like we're going to go in, we're going to do what we need to do, and we're going to get out. There's no we don't need the extra periods in case trying to get someone hurt or anything like that. So it's just getting in, doing what we need to do, improving our technique and fundamentals, and getting better every day. And if that means shorter practices, then that's the way he does it. So it's been good.
And you were captain last year.
Correct.
Right. But then you have all these new faces arrived here now. What's kind of that process of trying to establish your, I guess, the presence that you bring there with the new leaders that kind of came over? How do you kind of manage that process?
Yeah, I'm still kind of figuring that out. Because in the off season, we were training with offense and O-line and D-line for the most part. So leading that group's one thing, and then because everyone in the offensive line kind of they know how my leadership is, but it's kind of exceeding that and going to the whole team, and just building relationships. That's the biggest thing. As a returning captain that I can do. With all these new faces, just build relationships with, guys that I don't really interact with a lot, like DB, people on the defensive side of the ball. But it's more so just building relationships and, earning respect from your teammates just by the way you play and how you carry yourself and things like that. But I'm still kind of figuring that out. But I think it's, been going well so far.
Last one to Seth.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously plenty of newcomers in the room, whether transfers or freshmen. Just who's kind of standing out among that group so far?
Yeah, I think Tyler Stevens, the guard from JMU, he's really stepping up. Trey Wedding's doing really well. And then I think those guys are, because I haven't seen much from Nick Kidwell so far. But guys like that, just stepping in and getting as many reps as they can and doing what they can to help the offensive line. And everyone's they're all great dudes that came in. I can't say enough good things about them personality-wise. But, it's still early on in spring ball. So once, practice 12-13 comes around, I'll be able to tell you more on, who's really stepping up from younger guys and things like that. But as of right now, those guys are really stepping up in my eye, and they're doing a really good job.
Those two you mentioned, have they kind of been stepping up off the field as well?
Yeah, I mean, we, as an offensive line, we get together a lot. We go to dinner, things like that. And it's just they're a big personality. It's hard to come from a different school. I mean, I've never transferred or anything, so I've already had, relationships a lot. but it's hard to kind of open up to these new guys, and they've done a great job. You know, they're big personalities, they're big energy guys, so you know they're great so far.